Hello, and welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy today's chapter of The Summer Switch by Olivia Julius.
Chapter 9. The van ride felt like a funeral procession, every one of us clutching our humiliating swimsuit bags like evidence. Abuela, of course, homed happily in the driver's seat the whole way. When we finally pulled into the parking lot, the giant slides of the water park loomed ahead, glittering in the sun like neon-colored monsters waiting to swallow us whole. I climbed out of the van, my floral swimsuit bag dangling from my hand, and without even thinking about it, I started walking toward the familiar blue sign with a stick figure man on it. A hand grabbed my arm. I turned and found Chloe glaring at me, already hoisting her own bag. Allison? Wrong door! What? I asked, blinking. She tilted her head toward the pink sign with the stick figure woman on it. Girls' room! You're coming with me! My stomach dropped. Oh no! Oh, no! I've never! Before I could finish, she tugged me firmly in the direction of the girls' entrance. I stumbled after her, face burning. Thanks, I guess, for not just letting me walk into the men's room like an idiot. Chloe smirked. You'd have lasted about 10 seconds before someone screamed. I sighed as we stepped through the doorway, the sound of chatter, running water, and squeaky sandals filling my ears. The girls' locker room. My very first time in one, and definitely not the way I'd ever imagined it. Rows of lockers, benches, and little changing stalls stretched out before us. Kids of all ages ran around in various stages of undress, towels slapping against wet tile. I tried not to stare, but it was impossible not to feel like I was intruding on something I had no business seeing. Emily appeared a moment later, casually unzipping her bag. She pulled out her swimsuit and held it up for us to see, a sleek purple bikini with thin straps that shimmered faintly in the light. I groaned. Of course yours looks like it belongs in a magazine. She smirked. Well, someone has to look good. I held up my purple floral one piece like it was a punishment. Meanwhile, I look like I'm about to attend a pool party for dolls. Chloe snorted, clutching her glittery tween bikini like it was a cursed object. Please! We're all suffering here! And as the three of us found a corner to change, I realized this was it. My first official trip into the girls' locker room. And it was every bit as awkward as I'd feared. The van ride felt like a funeral procession, every one of us clutching our humiliating swimsuit bags like evidence. Abuela, of course, homed happily in the driver's seat the whole way. When we finally pulled into the parking lot, the giant slides of the water park loomed ahead, glittering in the sun like neon-colored monsters waiting to swallow us whole. I climbed out of the van, my floral swimsuit bag dangling from my hand, and without even thinking about it, I started walking toward the familiar blue sign with a stick figure man on it. A hand grabbed my arm. I turned and found Chloe glaring at me, already hoisting her own bag. Allison? Wrong door! What? I asked, blinking. She tilted her head toward the pink sign with the stick figure woman on it. Girls' room! You're coming with me! My stomach dropped. Oh no! Oh, no! I've never! Before I could finish, she tugged me firmly in the direction of the girls' entrance. I stumbled after her, face burning. Thanks, I guess, for not just letting me walk into the men's room like an idiot. Chloe smirked. You'd have lasted about 10 seconds before someone screamed. I sighed as we stepped through the doorway, the sound of chatter, running water, and squeaky sandals filling my ears. The girls' locker room. My very first time in one, and definitely not the way I'd ever imagined it. Rows of lockers, benches, and little changing stalls stretched out before us. Kids of all ages ran around in various stages of undress, towels slapping against wet tile. I tried not to stare, but it was impossible not to feel like I was intruding on something I had no business seeing. Emily appeared a moment later, casually unzipping her bag. She pulled out her swimsuit and held it up for us to see, a sleek purple bikini with thin straps that shimmered faintly in the light. I groaned. Of course yours looks like it belongs in a magazine. She smirked. Well, someone has to look good. I held up my purple floral one piece like it was a punishment. Meanwhile, I look like I'm about to attend a pool party for dolls. Chloe snorted, clutching her glittery tween bikini like it was a cursed object. Please! We're all suffering here! And as the three of us found a corner to change, I realized this was it. My first official trip into the girls' locker room. And it was every bit as awkward as I'd feared. Clutching my purple floral one piece, I darted for the nearest stall like my life depended on it. The clatter of flip-flops and chatter from the other girls in the locker room echoed all around me, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I was trespassing, even though I technically belonged here now. I slipped into the stall, locked the flimsy door, and let out a long, shaky sigh. Alright, I muttered to myself. Just get it over with. First came the ruffled top and the pastel skirt. I tugged them off awkwardly, nearly tripping as the skirt caught on my sandals. Then the underwear? Peeling it off made me pause for a second, the absurdity of it all sinking in. 42 years old, father of a teenager, and here I was, undressing in a locker room stall like a nervous 5th grader before swim practice. I unfolded the swimsuit slowly. The purple fabric was soft and stretchy, dotted all over with tiny pink flowers. Innocent. Girly. Exactly the kind of thing you'd expect a 10-year-old girl to wear. Fantastic, I grumbled. Stepping into it was awkward. My legs felt too short, my balance off. The elastic clung tightly as I wriggled it up, the fabric snapping against my skin with each tug. The straps twisted twice before I finally got them over my shoulders, leaving me breathless from the effort. When it was finally on, I turned slowly, looking down at myself. The one piece fit perfectly, snug without being uncomfortable, the little floral pattern scattered across my chest and stomach like confetti. The neckline was modest, the leg holes high enough to feel strange but not scandalous. And somehow, impossibly, I looked like I actually belonged in it. Which was the most humiliating part of all. I leaned back against the stall door, covering my face with both hands. I can't believe this! I'm really doing this! I'm really a 10-year-old girl in a swimsuit! There was a knock on the stall wall. Chloe's voice, muffled but smug. You done in there, little sis? Or are you too busy crying over the flowers? Shut up, I muttered, but my voice cracked in a way that only made her laugh harder. Taking a deep breath, I opened the door. No more hiding! Time to face the water park, floral swimsuit and all. I pushed open the stall door and stepped out, tugging at the straps of the floral one piece. The elastic hugged me in ways that felt far too natural, and the little flowers patterned across my chest weren't helping my dignity. Chloe was already standing by the mirrors in her glittery tween bikini, scowling like she'd been sentenced to fashion jail. Emily leaned casually against the lockers, her purple bikini fitting her perfectly, of course, sleek, confident, like she'd just stepped out of a summer ad campaign. They both turned when they saw me. Well, Emily said with a grin, look at you! You managed to get it on all by yourself. Chloe smirked. Yeah, I thought for sure you'd come out tangled up in the straps. I rolled my eyes, cheeks burning. Very funny. I think I deserve a medal for surviving the ordeal. Before they could tease me more, a frustrated squeak echoed from the stall beside mine. Little help here? Michelle's tiny voice called. Chloe raised her eyebrows. Emily bit back a laugh. Michelle kept talking through the thin partition, her voice exasperated. I have no idea what I'm doing. These straps keep twisting, and the leg holes feel backwards. When I was a man, I didn't deal with swimsuits, that was my wife's department. I just sat in the chair and ate nachos. So, yeah. I'm lost. Chloe snorted, covering her mouth to hide her laughter. Wow! You really are hopeless. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Unbelievable! 40 years old last week, and now you can't figure out a ruffled one piece? Michelle groaned dramatically. I told you, I was a dad. Dressing kids was not my job. Emily shook her head, chuckling. Looks like we'll have to give her the crash course. I sighed, crossing my arms over the flowers on my chest. "Oh, this day just keeps getting better." Emily sighed, set her bag down, and tapped the stall door. "Alright, Michelle, unlock it. Let's get this over with." There was a loud click and then a pitiful squeak. "Don't laugh, okay?" The door creaked open, and out waddled Michelle, or at least half of her. The pink swimsuit with yellow polka dots was halfway on, the ruffles around the waist bunched up in a lopsided mess, one strap twisted so badly it looked like she tied herself in a knot. Chloe instantly snorted. "You look like a piñata that lost a fight." I slapped a hand over my mouth, but my shoulders shook with laughter. Michelle glared, her little cheeks puffing red. "I told you, I don't know how this works. When I was a man, swimsuits just slid on. Shorts. Done. None of this elastic nightmare." Emily bit back her own laugh and crouched down to help, her purple bikini glittering as she tugged the straps into place. "Hold still. You're making it worse." Michelle flailed. "I am holding still." "No, you're not," Emily said firmly, straightening the ruffles around the waist. "Arms up." Michelle reluctantly obeyed, and Emily slid the straps into place with a practiced ease. In less than a minute, the swimsuit fit perfectly, every ruffle sitting exactly where it was supposed to. "There," Emily said with a triumphant smile. "All done." Michelle looked down at herself, grimaced, and groaned. "I look like a birthday cake." Chloe doubled over laughing. "The funniest birthday cake I've ever seen." I shook my head, still smirking. "Well, at least you're fully frosted now." Michelle crossed her little arms, pigtails bouncing as she huffed. "You're all evil." Emily patted her on the shoulder. "You'll live. Come on, Abuela's waiting." With that, the four of us grabbed our towels and shuffled toward the exit, floral prints, bikinis, and ruffles on full display. And when we stepped out into the sun, there was Abuela, standing at the park entrance with her hands on her hips, grinning like she'd just won the lottery. "Perfect!" she said, "you all look wonderful! Now, let's go have some fun!" I groaned under my breath. Fun! Right! Just as we were about to grab our towels and head for the exit, a voice piped up from one of the stalls down the row. Guys? Little problem here." We all turned. The stall door cracked open, and Josh, or what used to be Josh, peeked out. Now 14, and very much a girl. She held up a bikini top in one hand and looked like she wanted to melt into the tile. I don't think I can do this." Chloe smirked. "What, too complicated?" Josh rolled her eyes. "No, it's just awkward. I've never had to put one of these on before. And I don't even know if I should wear it. Maybe I'll just tell Abuela no." Emily raised an eyebrow. "You can try, but you won't win. Trust me." Brittany groaned, clutching the bikini top tighter. Figures. And of course I drew girl. 14-year-old girl. Seriously, of all the rotten luck. She hesitated, then sighed. "Look, until this week is over, just call me Brittany. It feels less weird than hearing Josh when I look like this." I blinked. "Brittany? You're really going to go with that?" "Yeah," she muttered. "It'll do." Michelle giggled. "At least it's not worse than Allison." "Shut up," I snapped, tugging at my floral straps. Brittany let out a heavier sigh and slumped against the doorframe. "You know, I don't get why you're so shocked, Allison. Abuela's been doing this forever. Back at her house, my mom, my brothers, my sisters, she used to run this kind of magic game all the time. Sometimes for a day, sometimes for a weekend. It was, like, her idea of a fun family tradition." I froze. "Wait! What?" Brittany nodded. "Yeah! We grew up with it. That's why none of us are freaking out too much. I mean, we hate it, but we get it. You guys? You don't visit much, so you never knew." I turned slowly toward Emily, who was smoothing down her purple bikini straps without a care in the world. You knew, I accused. She gave a sheepish smile. I may have neglected to mention it. But yeah, Mom's been doing this for years. I stared at her, my mouth open. Years? Years? And you didn't think to tell me before she turned me into a 10-year-old girl? Emily smirked. Would you have believed me? I groaned, dragging a hand down my face. This wasn't just a prank anymore. This was a family tradition. And I had somehow married into it. I just stood there, staring at Emily like she'd sprouted a second head. So let me get this straight. Your mom's been pulling this magic body swap game for years, and you didn't think to tell me? Emily shrugged, smoothing down her bikini straps. It never came up. I threw my hands up. Never came up? That explains everything. No wonder you knew how to turn me into a teenage girl back at prom. You already had a front row seat to this insanity your whole life. She gave me a sly little smile. I told you, I had experience. Chloe folded her arms. So basically, Abuela's been doing this forever, Mom knew, and Dad's just the clueless one. Exactly, Michelle chirped, adjusting her ruffled swimsuit. I groaned, pinching the bridge of my nose. Fantastic! Just fantastic! I'm the only one who didn't get the family handbook on how to survive being turned into a girl. Emily patted me on the shoulder, fighting back a grin. Don't worry! You'll catch up fast! I muttered, tugging at my floral straps again. I married into a circus. Brittany peeked out from her stall, bikini top finally in place, looking both miserable and resigned. Welcome to the family, Allison! Better late than never! I groaned, tugging at the floral straps of my swimsuit. Fantastic! I'm the only one who didn't get the family handbook on how to survive being turned into a girl. Emily smirked. Don't worry! You'll catch up fast! I muttered, I married into a circus. Michelle piped up from where she was still fussing with the ruffles on her swimsuit. Hey, don't feel too bad! I married into this family too, remember? And up until now, I've been lucky. Every time your mother-in-law pulled this little magic stunt, I ended up as a boy. This, she tugged at the frilly pink polka-dotted fabric with an expression of pure misery, this is the first time I've ever been stuck as a girl. Chloe grinned wickedly. And what a girl you are! Michelle shot her a glare, cheeks puffed red. Shut it! If I survive this week without drowning in ruffles, it'll be a miracle! I snorted. Welcome to the sisterhood! Michelle groaned. Please don't say that! Brittany leaned out of her stall, bikini top finally in place, and muttered, this whole family is insane. And for once, I couldn't argue. Eventually, there was no stalling left to do. Towels in hand, we shuffled out of the girls' locker room into the blinding sunlight. The roar of splashing water and shrieks of laughter from the slides hit us immediately, and I wanted to crawl back inside. And there was Abuela, waiting just outside the entrance like a camp counselor on field trip duty. Her smile stretched wide as she clapped her hands together. Wonderful! You all look perfect! I groaned under my breath, tugging at the hem of my floral one-piece. From the other side, the boys' locker room doors swung open, and out came the rest of the cousins who had drawn the short straw of mail. At the front was Tyler, leading them with all the enthusiasm of a condemned man. He wore his shark print swim trunks, his hair still damp from the locker room, but his arms were crossed tightly over his chest like he was trying to protect something that wasn't even there anymore. His face was beet red, and he looked down at the ground as he shuffled forward. Don't look at me, he muttered. One of the other cousins snickered. What's the big deal? You don't even have anything to hide. Exactly! Tyler snapped, squeezing his arms tighter around himself. That's the problem. I feel like I should, but I don't. It's all wrong. Michelle, standing next to me in her pink ruffles, giggled. Welcome to the club! We're all suffering in our own way. I sighed, wishing the ground would swallow me whole. Here we were, floral one-piece me, bikini Chloe, sleek Emily, ruffled Michelle, mortified Brittany, and poor shirtless Tyler. And Abuela, She looked delighted, as if this was the best day of her life. "Alright, children," she said cheerfully, waving her arms toward the sprawling water park. "Time to have some fun." I groaned again. "Kill me now!" The sun blazed down on the concrete, burning hot beneath my sandals. Kids and teenagers in every kind of swimwear darted past us, squealing, dripping wet, dragging inner tubes. Parents lounged under umbrellas, sipping sodas and squinting at their phones. And me? I was smack in the middle of it all, a 10-year-old girl in a purple floral swimsuit. Every step made me hyper-aware of the way the elastic hugged my body. The leg holes felt way too short, way too high, showing far more skin than I'd ever been used to. I tugged at them constantly, but they snapped right back in place, stubborn as ever. I felt exposed, ridiculous, and about as dignified as a Barbie doll left too long in the sun. "Why do the leg holes have to be so high?" I muttered under my breath, pulling them down for the 5th time. Emily, walking beside me in her sleek purple bikini, smirked. "Because that's how swimsuits are cut, Allison. Get used to it." I shot her a look. "Easy for you to say. You actually look good in yours. I look like I'm going to a tea party at a pool." She laughed softly. "You're adorable. Own it." I groaned. After a while, the cousins scattered toward the wave pool, leaving me and Emily walking side by side. For once, it felt quiet enough to ask what had been gnawing at me. "Emily," I said cautiously, "how long have you ever, been stuck like this? As a kid? What's the longest?" She tilted her head, smiling faintly. Let's see. Once, Mom kept me like this for a weekend. Another time, about a week. Oh, and there was the shoe incident." "The shoe incident?" She grinned wider. "When I was 15, I begged Mom for a pair of designer shoes. Expensive ones. I wouldn't stop whining about them. So, as punishment, she turned me into a 10-year-old boy." I nearly tripped over my own feet. "A boy?" Emily nodded cheerfully. "For a whole month, shorts, scraped knees, soccer practice, the works. By the end of it, I stopped caring about the shoes." I stared at her in disbelief. "A month? You were stuck as a kid for an entire month?" She shrugged, smiling like it was no big deal. "You get used to it." I groaned, tugging at my straps again. "I don't think I'm ever going to get used to this." She slipped her arm around my shoulders, giving me a little squeeze. "You will. Or at least, you'll stop fighting it. That's usually when the week goes faster." Somehow, that wasn't comforting. The wave pool loomed ahead like some giant, shimmering trap. Kids with inner tubes squealed as the siren sounded, the water swelling and crashing in rolling waves. "Come on!" Chloe yelled, already charging ahead in her glittery tween bikini. Tyler trailed after her, arms still crossed protectively across his chest, grumbling about sharks on his trunks. Brittany dragged her feet, clearly not thrilled about showing off her new body, but too resigned to fight it. And me? I shuffled in at the edge of the pool, floral swimsuit clinging tighter with every splash. The cold water hit my legs first, then crept higher, the elastic tugging and shifting in ways I'd never experienced before. Every ripple made the fabric press against me differently, reminding me I wasn't Greg anymore. I was Allison. A 10-year-old girl in flowers. It felt wrong. Wrong and weird and way too natural all at once. I waded deeper, the water rising up to my chest, the waves rocking me back and forth. Chloe splashed past me, laughing. Tyler yelped as a wave smacked him square in the face. Brittany held onto the side like her life depended on it. For a moment, I'd almost relaxed. The water was cool, soothing, and if I ignored the swimsuit and the long hair, it felt like any other summer day at the pool. Then I saw Michelle. Abuela was holding her tiny hand firmly, leading her away from the chaos of the wave pool. Michelle's pink polka-dotted swimsuit looked even more ridiculous under the harsh sunlight, the ruffles bobbing with every step. "Come along, sweetheart," Abuela said, guiding her toward the bright, shallow waters of the kiddie pool. Michelle dug her heels into the concrete. But I can swim. I swear I can. I don't need the kiddie pool. Abuela just smiled sweetly, patting her on the head. Not today, dear. You're much too little. You'll be safer here. Michelle turned her head as Abuela led her toward a sea of toddlers splashing around with rubber ducks and tiny plastic slides. Her eyes met mine across the water. The look on her face was pure misery. And then, jealousy. Because while the rest of us got to splash in the big kid pool, Michelle was now officially too young, relegated to the kiddie pool, stuck with floaties in ankle-deep water until the moment we left the park. I swallowed hard, suddenly very aware that things could, in fact, be worse. Much worse. The waves crashed around me, Chloe shrieking with delight as she dove under, Tyler flailing like a duck, Brittany clinging to the side for dear life. For a minute, I tried to join in, bouncing with the current, laughing despite myself. But every time I looked over, my eyes caught Michelle. She was stuck at the edge of the kiddie pool, her little arms crossed as Abuela fussed with floaties on her arms. Around her, toddlers giggled and splashed with rubber ducks and tiny watering cans. Michelle looked miserable, her cheeks puffed and her pigtails drooping with defeat. I felt a pang of guilt. Sighing, I waded out of the wave pool, the floral swimsuit sticking cold and damp against my skin as I walked across the hot concrete. Abuela raised her eyebrows as I approached. "Done already, Allison?" she asked, clearly amused. I ignored her, stepped into the shallow water of the kiddie pool, and plopped down right next to Michelle. The water barely reached my knees. She blinked at me, surprised. "What are you doing? You could be out there with everyone else." I scooped up a little plastic watering can, filled it, and poured it over a tiny sand mold like I belonged there. Us sisters have to stick together, right? Michelle stared at me for a second, then cracked the smallest, most reluctant smile. "Sisters, huh?" I nodded. "Yeah. Abuela's the parent, we're the kids. Might as well stick with family." Her eyes softened, and she let out a laugh, small but real. "You're ridiculous, you know that?" I grinned, splashing her lightly with the watering can. "Takes one to know one." And just like that, two fully grown men in another life sat side by side in the kiddie pool, surrounded by toddlers, pretending that this was normal. And in the strangest way, for a moment, it almost was. I was still sitting cross-legged in the kiddie pool, watching Michelle pout into the water, when a shadow fell over us. "Abuela!" She bent down gracefully, her ever-present smile fixed on me. "Allison, dear, could I have a quick word?" I stood reluctantly, dripping wet, and followed her to the edge of the pool. She reached into her oversized tote bag and pulled something out, a small vial of pink liquid that shimmered in the sunlight. I frowned. "What's this supposed to be?" "A little something to help your brother-in-law," she said gently. "Michelle is having a hard time, as you've seen. She feels left out. Wouldn't it be nice if she had someone her age to play with? Someone she could really connect with?" I blinked. "Wait, you mean?" Abuela reached into her bag again and pulled out a tiny yellow swimsuit, frilly and innocent, clearly sized for a 4 or 5-year-old. She held it up between two fingers, beaming like it was a prize. "This," she explained, "will temporarily turn you into a toddler. 4 years old, just like Michelle. You'll be able to play together properly in the kiddie pool. And tomorrow morning, you'll return to being 10 again, good as new." I stared at the potion in her hand, then at the yellow swimsuit. "You want me to? What? Shrink down even younger? Into a preschooler?" Abuela's smile never wavered. "Only for today. Think of it as a gift for Michelle. She won't feel so alone." Behind me, Michelle was splashing half-heartedly at the duck toys, looking more pitiful by the second. I turned the vial over in my hands, the liquid swirling inside like it was alive. My gut twisted. On one hand, I couldn't imagine being even smaller, even more helpless, stuck in frills meant for a toddler. On the other, Michelle did look awfully lonely. I sighed, staring at the little yellow swimsuit, my heart thudding. What in the world was I supposed to do? I turned the vial in my hand, the pink liquid catching the sunlight like it was daring me to drink it. Across the pool, Michelle sat in the shallow water, absentmindedly pushing a rubber duck in circles. Her little pigtails drooped, her tiny ruffled swimsuit sagged around her shoulders, and she looked defeated. My chest tightened. He was my brother-in-law. We'd shared beers on the back porch, complained about football games, swapped stories about the chaos of family life. Now he was a 5-year-old girl stuck in the kiddie pool, too small to swim with the rest of the family. And here I was, holding the only way to make him feel less alone. But at what cost? I looked down at the tiny yellow swimsuit in Abuela's hand. The thought of myself toddling around in it was almost too much to bear. I glanced back at Michelle again. He hadn't noticed us. He just sat there, tracing little ripples on the water with his fingers. My grip tightened around the vial. What in the world was I going to do?